From one-hit wonders who disappeared overnight to longtime pros who embarrassed themselves for decades. These are the 10 worst golfers of all time. And first we start with number 10. Perhaps not your typical worst golfer of all time, but trust me, after you hear this story, you'll think differently. Let's go back to 2005. The golf world is going absolutely crazy. There's this 15-year-old girl from Hawaii who's about to pull off something that nobody saw coming. Her name? Michelle Wie. They called her the Big Wheezy. This girl could smash the ball 300 yards like it was nothing. Her swing looked just like Ernie Els, smooth as butter. She turned pro right before her 16th birthday in 2005, and man, the hype was insane. And it's not just me saying it, everyone wanted to ride the Wii wave. She signed deals with Nike and Sony worth more than $10 million per year. Yep, $10 million. That's more cash than most PGA Tour guys make in their whole careers. Everyone said she was going to be the female Tiger Woods. At the 2004 Sony Open, when she was just 14 years old, she shot 72, 68, and beat 47 men, including 18 PGA Tour winners. The hype was absolutely insane. But here's the thing about hype. Sometimes it's all smoke and no fire. Michelle had all the talent in the world, all the money, all the attention. What she didn't have were the wins to back it up. Don't get me wrong, 5 LPGA Tour wins and a major is exceptional if you compare it to most golfers. Some players go their entire careers without lifting a single trophy. But when you stack that against the expectations, it falls painfully short. She won her only major in 2014, almost a decade after turning pro. And after that, she only won one more tournament in 2018. That's a 4-year gap between her biggest moment and her last. The hype was real. The talent was real. But looking at the full picture, Michelle Wie was overrated. Number 9 takes us to the ultimate case of being in the right place at the right time, because sometimes you don't win a major just falls into your lap. Let's be clear about something. Paul Lawrie absolutely deserves to be called a major champion. But let's also be honest, sometimes a tournament is known more for the one who lost than the person who won. In the case of the 1999 Open at Carnoustie, it would be very hard to argue that Paul Lawrie is the name that first comes to mind. And why would it be? Lawrie, down by 10 strokes at the start of the 4th round, completed the biggest final round comeback in major championship history. Sounds impressive, right? Except here's the thing, he wasn't really chasing down the leader as much as watching him completely self-destruct on live television. Jean van de Velde walked to the 18th tee needing just a double bogey to win his first major. But then, something happened. He started the day with a 5-stroke lead, but made a triple bogey at the last hole, which would trigger a 3-man playoff between Van de Velde, Lawrie, and Leonard. Lawrie shot a solid 67 that day, then sat in the clubhouse for over an hour watching Van de Velde take his shoes off and wade into the berry burn. In the 4-hole playoff, Lawrie nailed a 4-iron to 4 feet for a birdie and the win. So, what did he do after this gift-wrapped major title? Well, not much. He pretty much vanished from the big stage. He never won on the PGA Tour. He never contended in another major. And while he picked up 8 European Tour wins, that miracle at Carnoustie remained the undisputed peak. Probably the worst golfer to ever win a major. Number 8 is a name you probably haven't heard in years. But in 2008, he was supposed to be the next big thing. Swagger? Check. Game? Check. Hype? Off the charts. He was winning faster than almost anyone not named Tiger Woods. And then, he vanished. What happened to Anthony Kim is one of golf's greatest mysteries, and why some now consider him one of the sport's biggest disappointments. In 2008, he was on fire. Kim became the first American under 25 to win twice in one PGA Tour season since Tiger Woods in 2000. And then came the Ryder Cup. At Valhalla, Kim embarrassed Ryder Cup legend Sergio Garcia 5-4 in the opening Sunday match, helping Team USA win their first Ryder Cup since 1999. Ranked 6th in the world at just 23, Kim wasn't just another young talent. He was supposed to be America's answer to golf's boring image. And then, he vanished. In 2012, he tore his Achilles and had surgery. The timeline said 9 to 12 months. But he never came back. Not once. Why? Well, that's the sketchy part. Rumors say he had a $10 to $20 million insurance policy that would only pay out if his injury was career-ending. And if he ever swung a club in a tour event again, the policy would be void. So Anthony Kim, who could have been a legend, basically got paid millions to disappear. Which brings us to number 7, and golf's most heartbreaking story of one of the worst golfers out there. Imagine winning the biggest tournament of your life and then suddenly forgetting how to play the game you love. That's the mystery of Ian Baker Finch. Back in 1991, this Australian was on fire at the Open Championship. At Royal Birkdale, he played some of the best golf of his life, shooting closing rounds of 64 and 66. That was enough to beat the field by 2 shots and win his only major championship. It was the kind of victory every golfer dreams of, totally unstoppable and unforgettable. But after that amazing win, things took a turn for the worse. This wasn't just a little slump or rough patch. Baker Finch had a serious mental breakdown that affected everything about his game. The strange thing was he could still hit perfect shots on the practice range, but when it came time to compete, it was like his confidence completely disappeared. Things got so bad that in 1995 and 1996, he either missed the cut, withdrew, or was disqualified in every single PGA Tour event he played. A total of 29 tournaments. That's almost impossible to imagine for a former major champion. The lowest point came in 1997 at the Open Championship at Royal Troon. Baker Finch shot a shocking 92 in the first round, the worst score ever by a former Open champion. He withdrew before the next round and later admitted he cried in the locker room after that round. Ian Baker Finch went from being the king of the course to nothing. He had everything, lost everything, and became the perfect example of how quickly golf can destroy even its greatest champions. Next up, number 6. This is a name you definitely know. He's the guy who took down Tiger Woods. He was world number 1, a global star, and for a moment, he looked completely unstoppable. But then, he erased himself from the golf world. One of the greatest what happened stories this sport has ever seen. We're talking about David Duval. And hear me out. This guy wasn't just good, he was world number 1. Duval led the PGA Tour money list in 1998, achieved the number 1 spot in the official world golf ranking in March 1999, and shot a 59 in the final round of the 1999 Bob Hope Chrysler Classic. He was beating Tiger Woods head-to-head and making it look easy. Then came his crowning moment. Closing rounds of 65 and 67 at Royal Lytham and St. Anne's in 2001 swept David Duval from 7 shots off the lead at halfway to his first major victory by a 3-stroke margin at the Open Championship. Finally, his major breakthrough. This was supposed to be the start of something legendary, but instead, it was the end of everything. Following Duval's victory at the 2001 Open Championship, he never won again on the PGA Tour. His game fell apart thanks to injuries, back problems, wrist issues, and even vertigo, which is a nasty balance disorder. In fact, in 2022, he admitted that vertigo had kept him off the course for months. By 2004, he dropped all the way down the rankings, going from world number 1 to outside the top 400. And by 2011, he lost his full PGA Tour card. Sure, he kept playing here and there with special exemptions, but the dominant star was gone. David Duval's story is one of golf's biggest what-ifs. One amazing major win, then a steep fall, and years of struggle. Because sometimes even the brightest stars don't burn forever. Halfway through at number 5, we might surprise you. Because this next golfer had no business being on a list like this. Talent-wise, he was elite, one of the best ball strikers the game has ever seen. But somehow, he still ended up as one of the worst golfers to play with. And not because of his swing. We're talking about Sergio Garcia. This guy had more raw talent in his pinky finger than most pros have in their entire bodies. What he didn't have? Emotional control. For nearly 2 decades, he was golf's biggest head case. This is someone who had to wait 21 years for the major win that even his most partisan followers had started to believe would never arrive. His first appearance was at the Open in 1996. 74 majors later, he finally broke through at the 2017 Masters, edging out Justin Rose in a playoff. Trust me, most players don't even get half that many chances. But the thing is, Sergio wasn't losing because he couldn't play. He was losing because he couldn't control himself. That's 3 club throws, 1 launched shoe, a damaged tee box, 2 bunkers decimated, 1 bush attacked, 1 microphone destroyed, and one hole full of spit. He literally spat into a hole during a 2007 tournament. At Royal Birkdale, he smacked a gorse bush so hard he injured his own shoulder. And in 2019, he got disqualified from the Saudi International after damaging multiple greens in a rage. This is a man who could have won way more majors. Instead, he walks away with one, and a legacy as one of golf's most volatile geniuses. Some say, what a waste. Now we're at number 4, and this one takes us to another vanishing act in golf. But we're raising the bar, I promise you. Because sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a golfer isn't a spectacular crash. It's just slowly fading away without anyone really noticing. Hunter Mahan was the ultimate reliable guy. You know that friend who never causes drama, always shows up on time, and just gets the job done? That was Hunter. He reached a career-high world ranking of number 4 in April 2012, which made him the highest-ranked American golfer at that moment. From 2007 to 2014, he made it into every single tour championship. He won 6 times, played on multiple Ryder Cup teams, and earned over $30 million during his career. Not too shabby, right? Then came 2014, and it looked like Hunter was making a big comeback. At the Barclays, he pulled ahead with 3 birdies in a row and sunk a clutch 20-foot putt on the 17th hole to win by 2 shots. Everyone thought, yeah, he's back. But that win ended up being his farewell tour. What followed was one of the strangest declines in golf. No injury held him back. No scandal rocked his world. No meltdown like we've seen with others. It was just a slow fade. Within 3 years, he went from winning tour events to losing his PGA Tour card in 2017. Between 2015 to 2021, Hunter managed just one top 10 finish and missed the cut more than 60 times. His longtime caddy and swing coach both think that having 3 young kids and enjoying being a stay-at-home dad played a big role in why he stepped back. Turns out the only thing Hunter Mahan really committed to was early retirement. Sliding in at our top 3, and this one is probably the worst golfer, who might just hold the most brutal record in golf history. Imagine playing 611 tournaments over 27 years and never winning a single one. Not once. Not even by accident. This is the story of Rocky Thompson, a golfer who chased that one perfect week for nearly 3 decades. No trophies, no fairy tale finishes, just 611 starts and 0 wins. But what happened next? Well, let's just say he didn't give up. Thompson never won on the PGA Tour and never finished in the top 60 on the money list. This man spent 27 years chasing his first win like it was the Holy Grail. He made just $146,391 in official money over 27 years, which works out to an average yearly income of $5,441. I mean, your local club pro probably makes more than that working weekends. So Rocky was basically paying to torture himself on golf courses across America. But strangely enough, this guy had a gift. He actually was a machine when it came to Monday qualifiers. He was so successful at playing his way into PGA Tour tournaments through the qualifiers that he earned the nickname King Rabbit. He just couldn't close the deal once he got there. His best finish was a solo 2nd place at the 1969 Western Open. Close, yet so far. For 15 long, painful years. But then something magical happened. At age 50, Rocky discovered the fountain of golf youth on the senior tour. There, at the 1991 Moni Syracuse Senior Classic, he finally won his first professional event. After more than 600 events without a win, he finally got to celebrate as a champion. Ah, Rocky Thompson. Proof that sometimes the worst golfers on tour just need a few decades to figure it out. Number 2 is about a golfer who was once golden on the greens, but ended up one of golf's darkest stories. This is the story of Angel Cabrera, El Pato, a South American legend who won the 2007 U.S. Open and 2009 Masters, the first ever to clinch both majors. At one point, he looked unstoppable. He had the swing, the power, and ice in his veins when it mattered. But off the course, it was a different story. Instead of chasing more majors, Cabrera spiraled into legal chaos. He was convicted of assaulting and threatening multiple ex-girlfriends, fled the country, and spent over 2 years behind bars in Brazil and Argentina. From green jackets to mugshots, Cabrera didn't just throw away his prime, he wrecked his legacy. But here's the twist. In 2025, after his release, he came back. And against all odds, he actually won events on the PGA Tour Champions, the senior circuit for players over 50. So if he stays on the right path, there's a real chance this guy won't be on the list next year. But for now, he's proof that talent means nothing when you throw away everything else. And finally, the worst golfer of all time. He is not just bad. He might be the worst golfer to ever swing a club, and somehow he made it all the way to the British Open. We're in 1976. A crane operator from England named Maurice Flitcroft has a wild idea. Play in the Open Championship. But there's a minor problem. He's never played a full round of golf in his life, and he has no official handicap. So what does he do? He lies. Straight up declares himself a professional golfer on the entry form, and somehow gets accepted. I can't wrap my head around it, but yes, it actually happened. Flitcroft borrowed golf book from the library, a few magazine tips, and a beach near his house where he hacked away with a red mail order bag and half a set of clubs. This man literally trained for the British Open on sand. And then came the moment of truth. He stepped up to the tee, took his swing, and the ball barely made it past the tee box. Well, it only got worse from there. He carded a jaw-dropping 49 over par 121, the worst score in Open history. And when reporters asked what went wrong, he blamed it on leaving his 4-wood in the car. Dead serious. The R&A banned him for life, but Maurice kept sneaking back in, using fake names like Arnold Palmtree and Count Manfred von Hofmannsthal, wearing disguises with fake mustaches and sunglasses like it was some kind of spy movie. Maurice Flitcroft, the myth, the legend, and the worst golfer of all time. Oh, and now that you're still with us, we have another golf video for you to watch, right in the middle of the screen. Enjoy!